If you're familiar with my short form content, then you probably know that I like jokes. I like to make memes and I like to laugh. My favorite meme that has to do with magic is definitely Colossal Dreadma. I've done plenty of short form content making jokes about Colossal Dreadma. I decided we're building, all Colossal Dreadmaws. This deck has 28 Colossal Dreadmaws in it. I know what you're thinking. As a commander, you can't have more than one copy of Colossal Dreadma on your deck. What are you doing? This has 28 different 6 mana 6/6s with trample. So we got a bunch of different Colossal Dreadmaws in this deck, including the commander Okagachi. We have a 5-color 6/6 trampler for 6 mana right in the command zone. The whole deck is full of those, along with a bunch of ways to capitalize on them. You're running a lot of 6 mana cards. There's a lot of cards that capitalize on you casting big spells. You're running 28 cards with 6 power and 6 toughness. There's a lot of cards that care about your creature's stats that are in this deck. This is a fun deck, and it's actually like undefeated right now. I've only played it like 4 times, but it hasn't lost a game. Let's go through it. The reason why I chose Okagachi Vengeful Kami as the commander of this deck is because it meets the criteria of being a Colossal Dreadma while also having enough colors to fit the important cards. If there was a Jund Colossal Dreadma or a Teamer Colossal Dreadma, I would have been able to make a very strong deck in either of those color pairings. White honestly does not really matter for this deck. This might actually be the only white card in the deck. And blue and black are pretty even. Green and red are very important to the deck. But Okagachi does let me play all the different Colossal Dreadmaws, while also giving me a cool political piece in the command zone. Now let's talk about the most important part about the deck. All the Colossal Dreadmaws. I considered using the Secret Lair Colossal Dreadma, except it doesn't actually say Colossal Dreadma as the name, and the whole thing is based around Colossal Dreadma. So we've got the most pimped version here being the white border Colossal Dreadma, which I also think is the funniest one to use for this deck. But the namesake of the deck right here, Colossal Dreadma. It's probably the worst out of all of the Colossal Dreadmaws in the deck, funnily enough. We have Earthshaker Dreadma, which is just strictly better Colossal Dreadma. It doesn't do that much different in the deck because there's not a ton of dinosaurs, but there's a couple, so it does make a difference. One of the other dinosaurs is Balam T-Rexar. This is actually the card that prompted me to build this deck because I made a joke in short form content about Balam T-Rexar being a power crept Colossal Dreadma, and that made me think about the idea of how many Colossal Dreadmaws are there? And I decided to build the deck because of this guy. And this is a fantastic card in the deck. It's a Colossal Dreadma that also can get me a land if I need to. Honored Hydra. It's a Colossal Dreadma that can come back from the grave for 4 mana. Sagu Mauler, which has Morph, which is pretty fun. Being able to play this early if I need a creature is not bad. Plus it has Hexproof. Old One Eye is a phenomenal Colossal Dreadma. It gives my other creatures trample, which in this deck does not matter almost at all. Most of the creatures in this deck will obviously have trample, but it also makes a 5/5, and it can come back, which is pretty good. The Bloodthirster, extra combats, and it's a flyer. However, not many other things will be able to attack during those extra combats. It still deals damage to my opponents, which is good. This deck is going to be all about dealing 6 damage over and over and over again to all my opponents. Vigor, making it so my Colossal Dreadmaws get bigger. Alpha Deathclaw, fantastic removal piece in the Colossal Dreadma slots. Incinerator of the Guilty. During the games I've played, this has been the most powerful Colossal Dreadma in the deck. Little asterisk though, because most of those games were in a pod with Bruvac, so it was very easy to collect evidence. But it does perform very well. Demon Lord Belzenlock. This can just draw you so many cards. Earthshaker Giant. This is a win con in the deck. This just pumps all your creatures. All your Colossal Dreadmaws become 9/9s. Otrimi the Ever Playful. This kind of just looks like it's a Colossal Dreadma that costs weird colors. The mutate is nice because it makes it so one of my other creatures that aren't a Colossal Dreadma can become a Colossal Dreadma. And also, this trigger has one target in the deck, and that is Sawtusk Demolisher. Being able to get Sawtusk Demolisher back is fantastic because it's a strong removal piece. So Otrimi getting Sawtusk back is a real thing that is powerful in the deck. Lunar Hatchling, another card that can cycle for a land if I need to, but I can also play it from the graveyard if I do cycle it. Demon of Fate's Design. There's only 6 enchantments in this deck, so it really is just like a flying Colossal Dreadmaw with a minor upside, but that minor upside is good enough. Rakdos the Showstopper. This is a Colossal Dreadmaw board wipe, which is pretty fun. Rampaging Baloths, a Colossal Dreadmaw that makes a bunch of 4/4s. Mutolith Vortex Beast. When it enters, flip a coin for each opponent you have. For each flip you win, you draw a card. For each one you lose, it deals 3 damage to that player. So it's going to be able to either bolt people or draw you extra cards. Both are just solid upside for being a Colossal Dreadmaw. Soul of the Harvest. You've got 28 Colossal Dreadmaws in this deck. You have a total of 34 creatures in this deck. This is a Colossal Dreadmaw that is just phenomenal in the deck anyways. We're running a lot of cards with this type of effect, and Soul of the Harvest is the best one because it's also a Colossal Dreadmaw. One of the best cards for this deck. Love to have it here. Soul of New Phyrexia. Really expensive, but it is board protection, both in the graveyard and out of the graveyard. So it's nice to have, but you're going to have to leave up 5 mana for this, so it's a matter of, oh, I don't have 6 mana to play Colossal Dreadmaw. I guess I'll leave up Soul of New Phyrexia. Briar Hydra. This can just make your things big. One of the upsides of using Okagachi is we'll have full domain, and Briar Hydra loves that. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. This is a solid card to let you draw cards. Like, you're going to choose the person that's got the least amount of permanents in play, and they're probably going to let you draw 2 cards. Very strong Colossal Dreadmaw here. Tyrannical Pit Lord. It lets you give one of your other Colossal Dreadmaws +3/+3 and flying. Umaro Raging Yeti. This card is really cool. Its trigger is chosen at random, but all of the abilities are strong. It can be a buff that could potentially just win you the game. It lets you refill your hand. It lets you deal 5 damage to any target. It's a solid card. I will say to discard your hand draw 4 is probably the worst in most situations with this deck, because this deck has so much card draw. You're going to be playing Colossal Dreadmaws and drawing cards and ramping, and that's pretty much the entire deck. Infernal Sovereign. Skip your draw step. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, you lose a life and draw a card. And it's a Flampler. The Kami War. This is in fact a Colossal Dreadmaw. But before it's a Colossal Dreadmaw, it's removal. And then more removal. And then your 6 mana enchantment flips into a 6/6 Flampler that is all colors. It also lets you recur stuff from your graveyard, which is huge. I mean, it is the opponent's choice of what you recur, but at some point, you're going to have probably a few 6/6s in there for 6 mana, and potentially nothing else to recur, and then your opponents are taking an extra 6 damage. The card is sweet. Similarly, you have Colossal Dread Mask. Living weapon, 6 mana, equipped creature gets +6/+6 and trample. Perfect. It's an artifact Colossal Dreadmaw. If the germ were to die, you can move this thing onto one of your non-Colossal Dreadmaw creatures to give them Colossal Dreadmaw stats, or just put it on one of your Colossal Dreadmaws to double its power. Love that. Moving on, this deck has a high mana curve. You're playing over 30 cards that are 6 mana value. So cards that care about high mana value seem fantastic. Like Up the Beanstalk. Whenever you play Colossal Dreadmaw, you get to draw a card. Love that. And ETB draw a card, 2 mana. This card is just an all-star. fantastic in this deck. One of the best cards you can play on turn 2 in this deck. Karuga the Macro Sage. I thought about actually making this a companion, but we lose out on some of our ramp. We just have to swap into other ramp, which is fine. We lose out on a couple of other cards that I really like, though, including the Up the Beanstalk, which I'd rather not miss out on. So I decided to put it into the deck. And then Emoti. This has been the most powerful card in this deck during the games I've played it. Being able to cascade your Colossal Dreadmaws into more Colossal Dreadmaws is insane. This card has put in so much work. It triggers your Up the Beanstalk and a whole bunch of other cards in the deck. I love Emoti here. Amazing. Not only did your deck have a lot of high mana cost cards, it's got a lot of high powered cards. Cards with 6 power. A bunch of them. 28 of them. So, cards that care about power seem pretty good here. Deceptive Frostkite. It's just a 2 mana Colossal Dreadmaw. It just copies one of your Colossal Dreadmaws, which is pretty fun. Elemental Bond, drawing your card whenever one of your big creatures enter. Colossal Majesty does the same thing but at the beginning of your upkeep. And Eshki, whenever you cast a creature spell, put a counter on it. If the power is 4 or greater, you draw a card. And power 6 or greater, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. All 3 modes will be triggering each time you cast a Colossal Dreadmaw. That's amazing. Kiora is ramp while also drawing you cards. And Temur Ascendancy, give your Colossal Dreadmaws haste while you're continuing to draw cards. Become the Avalanche is a finisher that also draws you a card for each Colossal Dreadmaw in play. Return of the Wild Speaker can either be a finisher or just refill your hand. Goreclaw, Terror of Calcisma, amazing in this deck. Making your Colossal Dreadmaws cost 2 less to cast is huge. The next part doesn't really matter that much. This is really in here for that first ability of discounting your 28 6/6s to 4 mana. Entish Restoration is just a fantastic ramp piece. Same thing with Gwenna, which also untaps when you cast a Colossal Dreadmaw. And Fanatic Aronis. Very easy to get this thing to be tapping for 4 mana. One of the other important aspects of a Colossal Dreadmaw is the trample. So I got a couple cards here that care about trample. Minsk and Boo can grow your Colossal Dreadmaws and also let you fling Dreadmaws to use them as removal and draw a bunch of cards. And Quartzwood Crasher. This thing is phenomenal in the deck. You're going to be making so many dinosaur tokens with this card. It's also a 6/6 trampler, but unfortunately it's only 5 mana. If it was 6 mana, this would be an awesome Colossal Dreadmaw. And then there's just a couple other good cards I wanted to mention. Genesis Wave, if you do X is 6, so Gen Wave total of 9 mana, you're going to be able to reveal a bunch of Colossal Dreadmaws to put into play. This is a really fun play. At some point, I really want to be able to get a full 6 Dreadmaws. Once that happens, I'll be a very, very happy man. And then we have Rhythm of the Wild. Make it so your Colossal Dreadmaws can't be countered. Good, it's a pretty big mana investment. Also, you can make them bigger or give them haste. Ideally haste, because otherwise they're not 6/6s. Then we have more generic removal. Casualties of War. I love this because it hits a lot of different permanents while also being 6 mana. Hex. This is the perfect removal spell to fit the theme of the deck. It is 6 mana, destroy 6 creatures. Love that. Great flavor. Toxic Deluge. You're playing a bunch of 6/6s. Deluge on 5 seems phenomenal. And Decimate. I just like this card, and this seemed like a deck where it was on theme, even though it has nothing to do with Colossal Dreadma. I don't know why, but it felt correct to put it in the deck. Then we just have the rest of the ramp package, the stuff that's more generic and less on theme, but still needed in the deck. A lot of land ramp, some signets, and of course Soul Ring and Arcane Signet. And lastly, we have the lands. Nothing too crazy here. It really just is a bunch of color fixing lands. We do have this specific command tower because dinosaurs, but a lot of fixing. There's no real utility lands in here just because we're in a 5-color deck that's pretty color intensive, so we stuck with more color fixing lands. And so that is my oops, all Colossal Dreadma deck. Let me know what you thought about this deck. Let me know if there's any cards that you think I should add to the deck, or if you want to build a Colossal Dreadma deck. And let me know in the comments what deck you want to see a deck tech on next, because boy do I have a ton of options. And most of these I have not done a video on. So just let me know in the comments section if there's any of these you want to see, and I will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.